The humid breath of Pearl Harbor clung to the air like a shroud as the USS Tang slipped her mooring lines on September 27, 1944, her black hull slicing through the oily waters of the subpens like a predator rousing from slumber. Commander Richard Hetherington O'Kane, at 32 a submariner's legend, with a jaw set like granite and eyes that burned with the quiet fire of a man who'd sent 30 Japanese ships to the bottom, stood on the bridge, binoculars trained on the receding silhouette of Ford Island. The Tang, Balao class, 312 feet of riveted steel and diesel fury, commissioned in 1943 under Mush Morton's Wahoo, was his fourth command. But this fifth war patrol felt different. A premonition, perhaps, or the weight of the Pacific's unforgiving math. 1 in 7 subs didn't return. O'Kane pushed it down, his voice a low growl over the diesel's thrum. "Steady as she goes, Slade. Course 270, 10 knots." Lieutenant Commander Slade Cutter, O'Kane's executive officer and Annapolis 34 product with a sailor's squint and a penchant for chess, nodded from the chart table below. "Aye, Captain. Formosa straight by the 5th. Halsey's carriers are pounding the Formosa airfields. We'll mop the stragglers." Cutter's hands, scarred from torpedo room brawls, traced the red pencil lines on the chart, a wolfpack route through the Luzon Strait, then east to the Empire's lifelines. The Tang carried her fangs full, 24 torpedoes, 8 Mk-18 electric fish in the forward room, silent swimmers with battery packs that left no wake, 16 steam-driven Mk-14s aft, finicky beasts with magnetic exploders prone to dudding. Forward, the 5-inch 25 deck gun squatted like a sullen mastiff, its breech loaded with high explosive shells. Amidships, twin 50 caliber Brownings for strafing survivors, if mercy allowed. Below, in the torpedo room, Seaman First Class Tommy Riley, 19, freckled Brooklyn kid with a boxer's build and a rosary tucked in his dungarees, wrestled a practice load with his crew. The Mk-18s were new, experimental, 21-inch diameter tubes, 1,000-pound warheads triggered by contact or magnetic influence, propelled to 30 knots on silver zinc batteries for up to 4,000 yards without bubbles. "Easy on the lugs, Riley," growled Chief Torpedoman Hank Kowalski, a Polish-American vet from the S-37 with arms like coiled cables and a tattoo of a sinking rising sun on his bicep. "These babies circle back if you flood wrong. Heard Growler lost a stern that way." Riley grunted, sweat beading under the red-shaded lamps, the compartment a steel womb of gauges and valves. "Won't happen on Tang, Chief. Skipper's got the touch. 31 hulls last patrol." The crew, 86 souls, a mix of farm boys, factory hands, and college dropouts, hummed with the electric tension of a wolfpack run. Tang's tally was unmatched. Under O'Kane's watch, she'd claimed 33,000 tons in 4 patrols, more than any sub in the fleet. Messmates swapped yarns over Spam and Joe and the galley. Motor machinist's mate Eddie Tex Ramirez, a lanky Texan with a drawl and a harmonica, recounting the Wahoo's Tokyo run. Pharmacist's mate Doc Harlan, the Iowa medic with steady hands for stitching torpedo gashes, joking about Jap souvenirs from Flotsam. But beneath the banter lurked the ghosts. Mush Morton, O'Kane's mentor, lost with Wahoo in 43 to Soviet friendly fire. The dud torpedoes that spared convoys. The depth charges that rattled hulls like dice in a cup. As Hawaii faded astern, Tang submerged for drills off Oahu. Battle stations every dawn, the clacks in a banshee wail that flushed men to posts in 30 seconds flat. O'Kane paced the conning tower, periscope raised, the scope's rubber eye cup cool against his brow. "Contact drill, bearing 180, range 5,000. The crew snapped to. Sonarman Pete Kowalski, Hank's kid brother, twiddled the JP hydrophone, its brass horn funneling ocean whispers, screws thrumming like distant thunder. Merchantman skip, 8 knots, single screw. O'Kane spun the periscope's azimuth, the statometer ranging. Upscope, down. The hydraulic hiss, then silence. Fire 1, ripple 3. In simulation, the torpedoman cranked gyros, mock floods hissing air. Riley yanked the impulse lever, imagining the fish streaking hot. By October 5, Tang crossed the dateline into the Philippine Sea, the Formosa Strait a graveyard of hulks from Halsey's strikes. O'Kane's patrol orders from Subpack, Admiral Lockwood, were gold. Sink the bastards where you find 'em. The war ends with empty holds. The sub ran surfaced at night, diesels gulping air, the conning tower's 20mm Ehrlichons manned against Betty bombers. Riley stood watch on the cigarette deck, the Pacific a black mirror under stars, the Tang's bow wave foaming white. "Feels like we're ghosts, Chief," he said to Kowalski, who lit a lucky strike in the lee. Kowalski exhaled smoke, the cherry glowing like a depth charge fuse. "Ghosts win wars, kid. Skipper sank a freighter last patrol with a single fish. Boom, right under the bridge." Dawn October 10th brought first blood. Surfacing in the Luzon Strait, lookouts spotted a convoy. 5 merchants shepherded by 2 Kaibokan escorts, steamers laden with rice and bauxite for the home islands. "Battle station submerged," O'Kane's voice crackled over the 1MC, the deck tilting as dive alarm hooted. Tang arrowed down to 100 feet, the ballast tanks venting in a roar, then silence. Rigid, the only sounds the hum of electric motors and the ping of active sonar. O'Kane took the attack scope, the TBT's torpedo data computers whirring as plotters scribbled bearings. Escort at red 10, range 3000. Slow her to 1/3. The boat crept forward, the ocean a velvet tomb. At 800 yards, O'Kane fired. 4 Mk-14s from forward tubes, the steam plants belching compressed air in muffled coughs. The fish knifed away, steam turbines whining to 46 knots, magnetic exploders set for underkeel blasts. Riley monitored from the tube room, gauges flickering green. 1 away, gyro set. Seconds stretched, then, through the hull, a crump. Then 2, 3. The deck shuddered as freighters buckled, flames blooming on the surface. "Hits on 2, skip, 1 broke up." Sonar confirmed, screws ceasing, hulls groaning in death throes. The escort's depth-charged blind, patterns blooming like fireworks, but Tang evaded. O'Kane's silent running, dropping her to 200 feet, engines off, the crew holding breath as charges hammered distant. Surfacing under stars, Tang circled for the cripple. A 5,000-ton oiler listing, fires licking her superstructure. O'Kane manned the deck gun himself. The 5-inch barking HE shells in orange strobes. 6 rounds, bridge collapsing in a pyre. "Cease fire, she's done." Riley on the .5 cal swept the water for swimmers, the tracers arcing like fireflies. 8 souls fished from the drink. Japanese crew, hands bound, interrogated below. "War's war," O'Kane told Cutter in the wardroom, sipping coffee black as the sea. "But we fight ships, not men." The tally? 19,000 tons, convoy scattered. October 15th deepened the hunt. Off Taiwan's east coast, Tang stalked a lone tanker, 10,000 tons, zigzagging under moonlight. O'Kane's periscope dance. "Up bubble, make tubes 1 and 2 ready." Riley flooded the externals, the sea rushing in with a hiss. The Mk-18's batteries humming alive. At 1,200 yards, fire, 2 electrics, wakeless arrows streaking silent. The first dudded, exploder failing. The second struck true, a muffled thunder lifting the tanker's stern. 1 hit, breaking in half. The crew whooped as Tang circled for the kill. But dawn brought air cover. Zeros wheeling, 20mm fire stitching the waves. Dive, the boat plunged, prop wash churning as bombs bracketed astern. Days blurred in the routine of the deep, drills, chow, canned Dinty Moore beef hash, movies projected on a sheet, Bogart in Casablanca, A Taste of Home. Riley penned letters in his bunk, the narrow coffin stacked 3 high. Ma, Tang's a lucky boat, skipper's a wizard. Home by Christmas? Doc Harlan dosed seasick greenhorns, his syrettes of morphine a mercy for nightmares. O'Kane confided in Cutter over charts. Lockwood wants Empire runs, close to the beaches. Risky, but that's the game. Cutter nodded, plotting the next leg. South to the South China Sea. Convoys fat with war's lifeblood. October 20, a wolfpack rendezvous with USS Halibut and Seawolf, but radio silence held. Tang hunted solo, her radar SJ picking blips in the murk. A destroyer straggler, 1,500 tons, aggressive, charged at 25 knots. Hedgehogs blooming patterns of 60-pound bombs. O'Kane evaded at flank speed, the hull groaning under strain. Then countered with a stern shot. Mk-14 dudding a den, exploder fizzling. Damn magnets, O'Kane cursed, surfacing to recharge. Riley cleaned tubes by feel. The electric fish's batteries swapped for fresh packs. Reliable as a drunk uncle, Kowalski griped. By October 23rd, off Palau's atolls, Tang struck gold. A convoy of 8, tankers, freighters, rice boats, escorted by 3 cans. Night surface attack, O'Kane's classic. The boat a shadow on the moonlit sea. Tubes 1 through 6, fire on my mark. The forward room thundered. 6 Mk-18s away, silent predators homing on screws. Hits rained. 3 freighters gutted, a tanker listing, flames painting the horizon orange. Escorts wheeled, depth charges patterning. But Tang twisted free, O'Kane's corkscrew maneuver, porpoising through the blasts. Tally, 25,000 tons, the patrol's peak. But hubris whispered. October 24th dawned calm. A straggler tanker, 6,000 tons, limping alone. O'Kane pressed in. 1 fish, tube 1, Mk-18, slow speed. Riley armed the exploder, the fish flooding out at 9 knots. Minutes ticked. Sonar pinged. Circle run. The torpedo arced back, bearing dead astern. Emergency dive, right full rudder, O'Kane roared, but too late. The warhead struck amidships, a cataclysm of steel and fire ripping the hull. Lights shattered, water roared in. Tang heeled, mortally wounded. Riley tumbled in the torpedo room, bulkhead buckling, the sea claiming him in cold embrace. O'Kane, thrown from the bridge, fought to the conning tower as compartments flooded. Abandoned ship. 9 survived the maelstrom, O'Kane among them, clinging to the sail as Tang vanished in a boil of bubbles. The Pacific, indifferent, swallowed her legends. October 25th dawned not with light, but with the relentless gray of a storm-swept sea. The Pacific's waves heaving like the labored breaths of a dying giant. The USS Tang was gone, her hull a twisted grave 180 fathoms down, the pressure crusher having claimed her in an instant of ironic fury. But 9 men clung to a remnant of her sail. The conning tower's battered cupola, a makeshift raft in the churning black. Commander Richard O'Kane, soaked to the bone, his kapok life jacket sodden and chafing, lashed a line from the emergency kit, a coil of mooring cable, a shattered periscope float, debris from the torpedo room's hatch. His leg throbbed, a gash from the blast, salt grinding into the wound. But his voice cut the gale like a knife. Raft 2, form up. Riley, Kowalski, secure the stores. We're not done yet. Seaman Tommy Riley, the Brooklyn kid who dreamed of Broadway lights before the draft yanked him to subs, spat seawater and hauled himself over the edge, his dungarees torn at the knee.
rosary beads tangled in his life vest. The torpedo hit had been biblical. A muffled whoomph astern, then the world inverting. Bulkheads buckling, lights exploding in showers of sparks, the sea roaring like a vengeful god. Riley had been mid-load on Tube 3 when the deck heaved, flinging him against the gyro table. Chief Hank Kowalski's bellow, flooding aft, surface, surface, had been the last order before the lights died. Now, bobbing in the debris field, oil slicks rainbowing the waves, Riley inventoried the kit. Signal pistol with 3 flares, canteen of fresh water, chocolate bars wrapped in foil, a first aid pouch with sulfa powder and morphine syrettes. 9 of us, Skipper, Tex, Doc, Slade, the kid from Sonar's gone. His voice cracked, the enormity hitting. 86 brothers, from the yeoman typing logs to the cook slinging hash, entombed in steel. Lieutenant Commander Slade Cutter, O'Kane's ex, surfaced sputtering, his Annapolis poise fractured but unbroken, uniform shredded to rags. He'd been on the bridge when the fish circled back, an MK-18's battery glitch turning hunter to hunted, the exploder detonating 20 feet from the stern planes. The blast had sheared the props, flooded the engine room in seconds. Cutter had swum through the chaos, grabbing a hatch lanyard, as the boat settled by the tail. "Captain, Japanese patrol lines north. We've drifted south in the night. Formosa's 200 miles, shark water." Cutter's hands, pruned white, knotted lines into a jury-rigged sail from a torn ensign. The stars and stripes, a tattered banner against the horizon. The 9 survivors, O'Kane, Cutter, Riley, Kowalski, Tex Ramirez, the machinist with the harmonica, Doc Harlan, the medic, young Ensign Frank Lynch, the green plotting officer, motor machinist's mate Billy Haynes, a Georgia farm boy, and Quartermaster Roy Latham, the navigator with a sailor's tattoo, huddled on their flotsam raft, a 10-by-10 patch of steel and rope bobbing like a cork. The sea was warm, 80 degrees, but the sun climbed merciless, baking salt into wounds. Harlan, his pharmacist's kit lashed to his belt, triaged, O'Kane's leg dusted with sulfa, Lynch's broken arm splinted with cable. The morphine syrettes rationed, 1 prick per man for the pain that gnawed like rats. "Hydrate slow, boys. Water's gold. Sharks'll wait for dark." O'Kane, ever the captain, rationed hope. "Tang's down, but her kills live. 33 hulls this run, more than a carrier group. We drift to Formosa, evade patrols, link with guerrillas. MacArthur's boys are thick there." He sketched a chart on a salvaged pad, pencil nubbed by seawater. Currents east-southeast at 1 knot, winds quartering. Latham, the quartermaster.
Riley remembered it vivid. The order, "Make ready forward, electrics," the hiss of flooding tubes, the MK-18's gyros whining alive. "Slow speed, 9 knots, O'Kane had murmured, the boat a shadow at 60 feet. The fish streaked silent, no wake to betray. Riley tracked on the TDC, the torpedo's pings faint on the hydrophone. Bearing constant, hit in 10. Then the circle, sonars frantic, torpedo bearing 270, closing fast. The evasive rudder, but the sea had no mercy. Kowalski, chief torp, cursed the electrics. Batteries glitch, shoulda stuck with steamers. But O'Kane silenced him. No blame, she fought true. Days blurred in the raft's monotony. Sun up, bake. Sun down, shiver. Sharks circled at dusk, fins slicing the swells like periscopes. Tex Ramirez strummed his harmonica, Red River Valley, toward them, the notes haunting over the waves. Food dwindled, chocolate bars crumbled, water sipped from thimbles. Harlan fought infection, Riley's gash festering, pus yellow under the sulfa, Lynch's arm swelling purple. Morale frayed. Haynes, the Georgian, wept for his girl in Savannah. Latham spun yarns of pre-war cruises on the old S-boats. O'Kane led prayers at dawn, Catholic for Riley, Protestant for the rest, his voice steady.
Deliver us from evil, as we delivered hell to the enemy. October 28, landfall teased, a smudge on the horizon, Formosa's jagged coast under monsoon clouds. But patrols prowled, a Kaibokan chugging north, her 4.7-inch gun swiveling. Down, play dead, O'Kane hissed, the raft sinking low, men face in water. The destroyer passed 200 yards off, screws thrumming, lookouts scanning but blind. Breath held, then gone. Nightfall brought guerrillas, Chinese nationalists in sampans, lanterns bobbing like will-o'-the-wisps. "Amerikansky," a voice rasped in broken English. O'Kane surfaced. U.S. Navy, Tang survivors. Rough hands hauled them aboard, the raft abandoned to the tide. The camp was a bamboo hell in the mountains near Taihoku. Jungle rot, malaria mosquitoes, guarded by Kempetai collaborators. The 9, bound and blindfolded, marched inland. Riley's feet blistered on the trail. Kowalski's tattoo a target for bayonets. Interrogation in a stinking hut. A Japanese lieutenant, English clipped as scissors, demanded codes. O'Kane stonewalled. Name, rank, serial, Article 17, Geneva. Fists flew. Riley's jaw cracked, Harlan's ribs bruised, but no breaks. "We sank your fleet," O'Kane spat through blood. "Tang's ghosts'll haunt you still." Prisoner life ground on. Rice balls moldy. Work details hauling logs for runways. Tex Ramirez smuggled a radio shard, catching whispers of Leyte Gulf. Halsey's carriers smashing Ozawa's decoy. Oldendorf's battleships pulverizing Nishimura at Surigao. "We're winnin'," he murmured in the barracks, harmonica silent now. Riley, rosary beads his anchor, prayed for rescue. Doc Harlan dosed fevers with hidden quinine. Lynch, arm mending crooked, plotted escape. Guerrilla's promise, wait for the signal. November brought typhoon winds howling through the bamboo, flooding the camp. O'Kane rallied the men. "Hold like we held the boat, silent running in the soul." Kowalski, Chief Torp, dreamed of tubes. "One more fish, Skip, one for Tang." Cutter, Exec, sketched maps from memory, whispering to Latham, "MacArthur's landing soon, guerrillas'll spring us." December 1944, the breakout. Chinese scouts slipped in under cover of storm, cutters slicing wire, rifles silenced. "Go, now!" Chaos, guards bayoneted, Riley clubbing a sentry with a rock. The 9 fled into the jungle, sampans waiting on a creek. Gunfire cracked behind, Kempetai pursuit, but the current carried them south, to Allied lines on Luzon. MacArthur's scouts met them at the mouth. Tang boys? Goddamn miracles! O'Kane, gaunt but grinning, clasped the colonel's hand. "She went down fighting, 33 kills. Tell Lockwood, worth it." Rescue planes ferried them to Manus, the hospital a blur of morphine and steak. Medals rained, Navy Cross for O'Kane, Silver Stars for the rest. But ghosts lingered. 86 names etched in O'Kane's mind. The Tang's bell tolled in pearl. War's end came swift. Iwo, Okinawa, then Hiroshima's flash. O'Kane testified at trials. Japanese officers hanged for camp atrocities. Home in '46, he wrote Wahoo, the patrols of America's most famous World War II submarine, Tang's sister in spirit. Riley to Brooklyn, rosary on the mantle. Kowalski to Philly shipyards, chief no more. Harlan practiced in Iowa, stitching civilians' wounds. The 9 met yearly, Survivors Club, beers raised to the deep. To Tang, depths of fury. The Pacific healed its scars, but the legends dove eternal, fish in the blue. The jungle of Formosa swallowed the 9 survivors like a living grave, the undergrowth a tangle of vines and rot that clawed at their salt-crusted dungarees as they stumbled inland. October 29, 1944, found them deep in the interior mountains near Taihoku, now Taipei, though the name meant little to men haunted by the sea's cold kiss. Commander Richard O'Kane led the ragged file, his wounded leg wrapped in a makeshift bandage from Harlan's kit, each step a firebrand against the damp earth. The Chinese guerrillas, hard-eyed Hakka fighters in black pajamas, armed with captured Arasakas and a few Tommy guns smuggled from MacArthur's supply drops, flanked them, machetes hacking a trail through the bamboo thicket. "One more ridge, Amerikanski," grunted their leader, a scar-faced captain named Li Wei, his English forged in Shanghai's cabarets before the war. Kempetai Camp, safe till moonset. Seaman Tommy Riley brought up the rear, his jaw throbbing from the sampan's rough landing, the rosary beads a talisman clutched in his fist. The drift had been 9 days of delirium, the raft a sun-baked coffin, sharks nipping at shadows, thirst cracking lips to leather. He'd hallucinated Tang's conning tower rising like a black whale, O'Kane's voice barking, "Dive, dive!" But reality was crueler. Landfall a jagged coast of volcanic rock, the guerrillas hauling them from the surf like drowned rats. Chief Hank Kowalski limped beside him, the Torp Chief's tattoo slung across Riley's shoulder, his breath ragged from a cracked rib. "Keep moving, kid. Skipper says we're ghosts now. Haunt the Japs from the hills." Riley nodded. The jungle's chorus, cicada shrieking, monkeys chattering, a mocking echo of the hydrophone's pings. The camp was a scar in the hillside, bamboo hooches roofed with fronds, a central fire pit ringed by sentries, the air thick with the smoke of rice wine and opium pipes. Lieutenant Commander Slade Cutter collapsed onto a pallet of ferns, his XX poise eroded to exhaustion, uniform in tatters that barely hid the bruises from the rafts flailing. "Captain, Lee's boys hit a convoy last week. MacArthur's landing on Leyte's pulling patrols thin. We radio Pearl?" O'Kane shook his head, accepting a bowl of congee from a guerrilla girl, her eyes wide at the Americans' ghosts. "Negative. Japs jam the bands. We lay low, scout for subs. Tang's loss'll sting Lockwood. He'll send wolves." Ensign Frank Lynch, the youngest at 22, his broken arm splinted with bamboo and vine, scribbled in a waterproof notebook, positions, guard rotations, the camp's hidden cache of dynamite for rail sabotage.
Doc Harlan, the medic, set up shop in a lean-to, his kit a salvaged valise from the raft, sulfa packets dwindling, iodine bottles half empty. "Line up, you sea dogs, stripped to the waist." He lanced Riley's gash, pus draining yellow, the Brooklyn kid hissing through gritted teeth. "Easy, Doc, like pulling a dud fish." Harlan chuckled, a dry Iowa rasp, injecting morphine with a steady prick. "Better than stitching hull plates at 200 feet. Remember that tin can off truck? Your chief here plugged the leak with chewing gum." Kowalski grunted from his pallet, ribs taped. "And a prayer. Skipper's prayers always work till the circle." Night fell swift, the jungle of velvet black pierced by fireflies and the distant rumble of B-29s over Manila. The guerrillas shared their tales around the flames. Li Wei's brother executed for smuggling radios, villages torched by the Kempetai's bayonets. O'Kane listened, trading stories of Tang's runs, the Tokyo fire raid under Morton, where Wahoo surfaced in the bay to shell warehouses with the deck gun, 5-inch shells arcing like comets. "We sank a subchaser once, point blank, her crew diving like rats." War's no glory, Lee, just survival. The captain bartered his Zippo lighter for a map. Japanese garrison at Takao, convoy routes hugging the coast, a subtender ripe for the picking. "If a wolfpack comes, we'll guide 'em, light the beacons." October 31 brought fever. Lynch spiked high, malaria's chill racking his frame. Harlan dosing quinine pilfered from a raided pillbox. Riley stood watch with Tex Ramirez, the machinist's harmonica a low moan. deep in the heart of Texas, the notes weaving through the mist. Think a home, Tex? My ma's niches, hot from the oven. Ramirez nodded, eyes distant. Tacos al pastor in Laredo. But after Tang, sea's in my blood now. That circle run, fish coming back like a bad dream. Riley crossed himself. Skipper says it's the electrics. Batteries curve 'em. But why us? 33 kills. Fate's jealous. November 1st, action. Lee's scouts reported a patrol, 20 Kempeitai in a truck, bound for a bridge demo. O'Kane volunteered the able-bodied, himself, Cutter, Kowalski, Riley, Ramirez. Guerrilla style, ambush, no quarter. Dawn patrol, the Americans in black pajamas, Arasakas slung, faces blackened with charcoal. The road twisted through ravine, the truck's engine growl echoing. Now, Lee signaled. Dynamite charge blooming under the chassis, truck flipping in flames, soldiers spilling like ants. Kowalski's Tommy gun chattered 45 slugs, mowing 3. Riley's Arasaka barked 7.7 mil, the bolt slick with sweat. O'Kane's captured Nambu pistol popped, felling the officer mid-draw. Cutter knifed a bayonetter in the brush, the blade grating bone. Loot, rifles, ammo, a radio set crackling with Tokyo Rose's silk voice. GIs, why die for Roosevelt's war? Riley smashed it with a rock. For Tang, you bitch. Back at camp, tally swapped. 8 Japs down, truck burned. Lee clasped O'Kane's hand. You fight like tigers. Join us permanent? The captain shook his head. Navy blood, sea calls. But tell your boys, when the wolves come, point 'em here. Fever broke for Lynch. Harlan's quinine worked. The ensign sketching patrol routes by lamplight. November 5, radio breakthrough. Guerrilla's hidden set caught a burst from USS Halibut. Tang overdue. Search grid Echo 7. O'Kane dictated reply. Tang survivors 9. Formosa interior. Chords 24-05N 121-30. Guide needed. Static hissed, then acknowledgement. Halibut inbound. Rendezvous November 10, Taihaku Roads. Cheers rippled. Texas harmonica wailing Yankee Doodle. The wait was torment. Patrols doubled. A Kempeitai sweep torching a village 10 miles south. Screams carrying on the wind. Riley and Kowalski scouted the rendezvous. A coastal cove, sampans beached under palms. Like Pearl, but wilder, Riley whispered. Kowalski nodded. Tang'd love this. Periscope sweep, then fish away. November 9, the night raid to draw fire. O'Kane's feint hitting a supply dump. Flames lighting the sky. Japs swarmed, but the 9 slipped away, linking with Lee's rearguard. November 10, dawn at the cove. Halibut's sail broke surface like a black leviathan, her deck gun trained seaward. Tang party, ahoy! Cutter's hail echoed, lines tossed, the survivors hauled aboard like prodigal sons. O'Kane last, saluting Lee. Oh you, brother, America remembers. The sub dove swift, the guerrillas vanishing into mist. Halibut's wardroom was heaven, hot chow, bunks with sheets, a phonograph spinning Glenn Miller. Captain Bert Hubbard clasped O'Kane's hand. Lockwood's got your dossier, Medal of Honor pending. Tang's kills 33 confirmed, 116,000 tons. Your aces. O'Kane waved it off. Cruise the aces, 86 eagles in the deep. Riley, in sickbay, got Harlan's stitches redone. Tex tuned the machinist ears to Halibut's diesels, a familiar purr. Lynch plotted the run home. Pearl by November 20, the wolfpack celebrating. But ghosts trailed. Interrogations in Manila, testifying on camp horrors, starvation, beatings, the Kempeitai's water cures. O'Kane's report to ComSubpac. Mark 18 circle runs fatal, recommend magnetic disable. Lockwood nodded, the electrics shelved. December, medals in Pearl. Medal of Honor for Cutter, silver stars all around. O'Kane citation read, gallantry beyond duty. Tang's patrol shortened the war. Homecoming 45.
Riley to Coney Island, Rosary on the pier. Kowalski to Philly, chief instructor at the yard. Harlan to Iowa clinics, Ramirez to Texas oil rigs. O'Kane to speeches, his book a bestseller, Clear the Bridge, Tang's saga in ink. The 9 reunite yearly, beers to the lost, depths of fury, fair winds and following seas. The Pacific scars faded, but Tang dove eternal, her fury the tides whisper.
November 15, 1944 saw the USS Halibut slicing through the Philippine Sea like a silver dagger, her hull a sleek shadow under the moonless canopy of clouds. The 9 survivors of Tang huddled in her forward torpedo room, a steel sanctuary humming with the low growl of electric motors, the air thick with the scent of diesel fumes and fresh-baked bread from the galley. Commander Richard O'Kane sat on a torpedo skid, his leg elevated on a crate of Mk-37s, slimmer fish with acoustic homing, Halibut's upgrades, wincing as Doc Harlan probed the gash with tweezers, extracting salt crystals like shrapnel from a wound. "Hold still, skipper, sulfa's working, but infection's a sneaky bastard." Harlan's Iowa drawl was steady, his hands those of a man who'd patched hull breaches at 300 feet, morphine syrettes his sacraments. Lieutenant Commander Slade Cutter pored over the chart table, red light casting his face in infernal glow, plotting the run to Pearl, 2,500 miles west-northwest, evading Leyte Gulf's cauldron where Halsey's Third Fleet dueled Ozawa's carriers. Captain Hubbard's pushing flank speed submerged, 20 knots on batteries. We surface at night for charge, but Jap ASW's thick off Luzon. Cutter's Annapolis polish had cracked in the raft's forge, but his mind was a TDC, computing vectors. Currents at 1.5 knots southerly, winds force 4 from the east. Ensign Frank Lynch, arm in a sling but eyes sharp, added bearings from his notebook. Guerrilla cords check. Lee Way's boys lit a bonfire diversion. Patrol scattered. Seaman Tommy Riley leaned against a bulkhead, jaw wired loose from the camp's fists, chewing a pilfered Hershey bar like it was manna. The Halibut felt like luxury after Tang's coffin, bunks with actual mattresses, a wardroom with silverware, even a soda fountain sputtering root beer. But ghosts crowded the vents. The circle run replayed in dreams. The Mk-18's silent arc a boomerang of fate. Chief Hank Kowalski, ribs taped but swagger intact, fiddled with a gyro wrench from the tool locker, his tattoo a faded omen. Batteries curved her, shoulda known. Skipper called the shot, we loaded true. Riley nodded, rosary beads clicking. 86 down there, Chief. Mall light candles in Brooklyn. St. Jude for lost causes. Captain Bert Hubbard, Halibut skipper, a wiry 37 Academy man with a mustache like a broom and a kill tally of 12 hulls, joined them, coffee mug steaming. Lockwood's wild, 33 confirmed for Tang, plus the convoy stragglers. Your aces, O'Kane, fleet's buzzing. O'Kane waved it off, eyes on the deckhead where pressure gauges ticked like a clock. Aces swim in packs, Bert. Tang was solo, my call. Tell me about late. Halsey's baiting them? Hubbard grinned, spreading a dispatch. Ozawa's decoy fleet steaming south. Kurita center force through San Bernardino. Oldendorf's waiting with 6 battleships at Surrego. If we link, your eyes on Formosa could tip it. The run south was a submerged gauntlet. Japanese patrol lines off the Bashi Channel. Kaibokan with hydrophones pinging like sonar witches. Halibut ran deep, 200 feet, trim tanks balanced to neutral buoyancy, the crew on silent routine, whispers only, no clanks. Riley stood watch in the sonar shack, headphones clamped, the JP hydrophone's brass horn funneling the ocean symphony. Shrimp snaps, whale groans, distant screws like thunder. Contact bearing 225 skip, destroyer, 18 knots, zig left. O'Kane took the con from Hubbard, periscope up for a flash peek. Up scope, down, steady, evade port. The boat heeled gentle, batteries whining, the destroyer passing 1,000 yards off, her hedgehog silent.
Surfacing November 18th under stars, Halibut's diesels roared life, the conning tower awash in salt spray. Tex Ramirez manned the 20mm Ehrlichen, eyes scanning for Bettys. Quartermaster Roy Latham spun the wheel, course 270 true. Mess call brought steak, rare, bloody, and beans, the crew devouring like wolves. Stories flowed. Kowalski's Truck Lagoon run on Tang, where they'd surfaced amid burning wrecks picking off survivors with the 50 cals. Riley's first kill off Saipan, a fish that buckled a troop transport, screams bubbling up. War's clean down there, Lynch said, arm aching. Steel on steel, no faces. O'Kane quieted them. Faces come in the dreams, but we shortened it. Empire starving without those hulls. November 22, Leyte Gulf's Edge. Halibut shadowed Halsey's screen. Radio traffic crackling. Kurita's battleships through the strait. Yamato's 18-inch guns thundering. O'Kane volunteered intel. Formosa patrols light. Convoys rerouted south. Hubbard relayed. Tang survivors confirm. Supply lines exposed. A wolfpack formed. Halibut, Seawolf, and Drum. The trio arrowing for a fat convoy off Mindanao. 10 merchants, 4 escorts, 50,000 tons of oil and rice. Night attack. Halibut's turn. Hubbard's scope dance mirroring O'Kane's ghost. Battle stations. The klaxon wailed. Riley flooding tubes. MK-37s this time. Acoustic seekers sniffing screws. O'Kane advised from the plot. Lead 10 degrees. Escort screening. Fire. 4 fish away. The torpedo's props buzzing faint. Hits. 2 freighters gutted. A tanker listing in flames. Escorts charged. Depth charges patterning. Boom, boom, boom. The hull shaking like a bell. Halibut corkscrewed deep. O'Kane's calm an anchor. Rig for depth. Blow safety. The 9, scattered to bunks, braced. Riley clutching his rosary. Kowalski muttering Polish oaths. Evaded. Surfaced. The Wolfpack's tally 30,000 tons. Halibut's 9th kill. Cheers in the control room, but O'Kane's eyes distant. Tang's shadow long. December 1, Pearl Harbor's pens. The sub nestling beside the memorial wall. Names etched. Wahoo, Sea Lion, Tang. Lockwood met them on the quay. Admiral stars glinting. O'Kane, you're the fleet's wolf. Medal ceremony next week. The survivors debriefed. Circle run dissected. Battery's voltage drop curving the fish. Camp's horrors logged for war crimes. Harlan treated burns from the raft sun. Tex tuned a borrowed guitar, harmonica silent.
Medals reigned December 7. Pearl's anniversary. Irony thick. O'Kane's Navy Cross pinned by Nimitz himself. For extraordinary heroism, despite fatal injury to his command. Silver stars for the 9, Purple Hearts for wounds. Riley, jaw-wired but grinning, saluted. For the 86, sir. Home leaves. Riley to New York, Ma's niches waiting. Kowalski to Philly, shipyard welding. But O'Kane stayed, training skippers on the Electric's curse. Trust the deep, but check your fish. 1945 dawned atomic. Iwo's blood, Okinawa's kamikazes. The 9 scattered, some to new boats, Lynch to destroyers. VJ Day, Hiroshima's shadow, Nagasaki's echo. Trials in Tokyo. O'Kane testified. Kempeitai officers hanged for the camp's sins. His book, Cleared a Bridge, hit shelves 49. A bestseller. Tang's saga in print. The Circle Run, a cautionary chapter. Reunions yearly. Riley's Brooklyn Bar, beers to the deep. 2 Tang, depths of fury. Kowalski retired chief. Harlan a dock in Des Moines. Ramirez oil rig foreman. O'Kane to speeches. Medal of Honor 45. But eyes on the sea. She took us down fighting. Best crew I sailed. The Pacific whispered on. Tang's hull rusting silent. Her fury the tide's eternal roll. December 7, 1944, Pearl Harbor's bitter anniversary, dawned under a sky heavy with rain-slicked clouds. The subpens at Submarine Base Pearl Harbor, a forest of masts and black hulls bobbing like sentinels in the harbor's embrace. The USS Halibut had delivered her precious cargo the night before. Her batteries drained from the submerged dash across the dateline. But the 9 survivors of Tang stepped ashore like men rising from the dead, their sea legs wobbling on the concrete quay. Commander Richard O'Kane, leg bandaged fresh by Navy docks and propped on a cane carved from bamboo by Lee Wei's guerrillas, saluted the colors snapping in the trade winds, his eyes, steel gray and unyielding, sweeping the memorial wall. There, etched in brass, the names of the lost: S-36, Argonaut, Tang. 86 fresh ghosts, from the yeoman's clerk to the cook's mate, their serials a litany of the deep. Admiral Charles Lockwood, comm subpack, waited at the gangplank, a bulldog of a man with a sailor's squint and a mustache that hid his grins, his whites crisp despite the downpour. O'Kane, you wolf you, 33 hulls confirmed, 116,000 tons, more than a task force. But the circle, his voice trailed, hand clasping O'Kane's in a grip like a vice. Lockwood had greenlit the Mk-18s, the Electric's promise of stealth a siren's call. Now, the Admiral's eyes held the weight of failure. Debrief had once, every ping, every turn. Behind him, a gaggle of brass, captains from the boatyard, intel officers with notebooks, a chaplain with Bible in hand. The 9, O'Kane, Cutter, Riley, Kowalski, Ramirez, Harlan, Lynch, Haynes, Latham, formed a ragged line, dungarees stiff with salt, Purple Heart ribbons pinned hasty by a yeoman. The debrief was a marathon in the base's war room, a vaulted bunker smelling of coffee and cigarette ash, charts of the patrol pinned like flayed skins. O'Kane took the pointer, voice level as a periscope horizon. September 27 departure, standard wolfpack route via Luzon Strait. First contact October 10, 5 merchant convoy, 2 escorts. 4 Mk-14s forward, 3 hits, 19,000 tons. He sketched the plot on the blackboard, bearings and ranges in chalk. The tanker's death throes, deck gun barking in the night. Slade Cutter chimed in, his X's precision cutting the fog. Escorts depth-charged blind, hedgehogs wide, no patterns. Evaded at 250 feet, silent running. Riley, jaw still wired but speaking through slits, detailed the tube room. Electrics loaded clean, no leaks, gyros set per TDC. Lockwood leaned forward, pipe clenched. The Palau run, 8 ships? Kowalski nodded, Chief Torp's gravel voice rumbling. 6 Mk-18s, 4 kills, convoy scattered, silent as ghosts, Admiral, no wakes. The room murmured, Tang's tally unmatched, her kills 1/3 of the boat force's monthly bag. But O'Kane's marker paused at the straggler. October 24, 0600, tanker 6,000 tons, zigzagging solo. Range 1200, tube 1 Mk-18, slow speed 9 knots. He circled the bearing. Sonar pinged circle at 800 yards. Evasive rudder, but contact exploder aft. Hull breached starboard quarter, flooded engine room in seconds. Gasps rippled. An intel lieutenant scribbled furious. Crew stations abandoned, 9 to surface. Raft held 3 days. Guerrillas, Formosa interior. Questions barraged. Harlan on wounds. Salt poisoning near fatal. Sulfa saved us. Lynch on cords. 24-05, 121-30, Lee Wei's camp. Tex Ramirez, harmonica tucked in pocket, described the drift. Sharks at dusk, fins like periscopes. Harmonica kept him off. Laughter cracked the tension. Lockwood's guffaw booming. Submariner's voodoo. Note it for the manual. But the Admiral's eyes hardened on the electrics. Circle runs, voltage drop in batteries? O'Kane confirmed. Affirmative. Gyros torqued wrong. Recommend contact-only exploders. Magnets dud too often. Lockwood nodded. The Mk-18's curse sealed. Shelved for steamers till fixes. Medal ceremony that afternoon. Nimitz presiding on the fantail. Tang's sister boat.
rain sheeting the deck like tears. O'Kane's Navy Cross, for extraordinary heroism in action against the enemy, despite grievous damage, continued the fight until his command was lost. The ribbon blue and gold, pinned to his tunic. O'Kane's salute crisp, but his whisper to the admiral, "For the 86, sir, they earned it." Silver stars rained on the 9, cutters for leadership on the raft, Riley's for two-broom grit, Purple Hearts all, the wounds badges of the deep. Lockwood clasped each, Fleet's wolves, you shortened the war by months. Leaves followed, Riley to Brooklyn, Ma's embrace at the docks, Nish's beaming on the table. My boy, St. Jude answered. Kowalski to Philly, shipyard welding arcs like torpedoes flash. Harlan to Iowa, clinics waiting. Ramirez to Laredo, tacos and tails. Lynch to Annapolis, teaching plots. Haynes to Georgia farms, Latham to charts in Norfolk. O'Kane stayed, training at the sub-school, lectures on periscope tactics, the circles lesson. Trust the sea, but verify your fish. December 1944 deepened the Pacific grind. Lete's mopping, Mindoro's landings, kamikazes splintering carriers like matchwood. O'Kane consulted on wolfpacks. Halibut's run a blueprint. Her kills under Hubbard's hand. Christmas in Pearl, a tree from Hawaii pines, carols in the pens, silent night twisted to submen's hymn. The 9 wired greetings. Riley's, Ma, home soon, no more circles. O'Kane penned Fanny. The deep took much, but gave more. War's end near. 1945 broke atomic. Iwo's black sands, Marines storming under Tang shadow. Her kills starving the garrisons. O'Kane testified in San Francisco, War Crimes Board. Kempeitai tortures logged, Lee Wei's villages avenged. Okinawa's hell, suicide boats ramming pickets, but subs struck back. Drum's fish gutting a Super Yamata wannabe. VE Day echoed faint, but Pacific roared on.
August 6, Hiroshima's flash, the Enola Gay's egg cracking the empire. O'Kane in Pearl, radio crackling, surrender talks. Nagasaki 3 days later, the 9 reconvened impromptu, beers in the O Club. To Tang, Fury's end. Riley raised his, 86 up there, salute. Kowalski grunted, fish away, eternal run. Surrender September 2, Missouri's deck, MacArthur's pen. O'Kane watched from Radio Shack, the broadcasted dirge. Musters out, Riley to stagehands, Kowalski to unions. Harlan's practice boomed, Ramirez's rigs. O'Kane to books, Clear the Bridge. 49, bestseller with diagrams of the circle, lessons for the Cold War wolves. Reunions etched years, Riley's bar, Kowalski's grill, Harlan's clinic. Depths of fury they'd toast, glasses clinking like sonar pings. O'Kane last, Medal of Honor 45, eyes on the sea. She dove fighting, best damn boat. The Pacific healed, Tang's hull rusting in the blue, her echoes the tide's roar eternal. January 1945 broke over Pearl Harbor with the promise of war's weary end. The subpens a hive of activity where Gato-class hulls underwent last refits for the final push. Torpedo tubes greased, sonar arrays calibrated, crews drilling silent dives against the kamikaze shadow. Commander Richard O'Kane, his leg mending under the Hawaiian sun, but his gait still favoring the cane, paced the fantail's deck, the memorial wall a constant companion. The brass plaque gleamed wet from morning rain. USS Tang, SS 306, lost 24 October 1944, 116,000 tons sent to the bottom, honoring the 86 who remain on eternal patrol. O'Kane traced the names. Yeoman Second Class Jimmy Hale, the kid from Kansas who'd typed patrol logs with a grin. Motor Machinist's mate First Class Vic Santos, the Filipino-American who'd kept diesels purring through typhoons. Eternal patrol, he muttered, the phrase a submariner's epitaph, the deep their cathedral.
Admiral Lockwood had kept him stateside for consult, but O'Kane knew the truth. Brass wanted the Tang legend bottled, his debriefs feeding the war machine. Lectures at the sub-school, classrooms full of midshipmen, eyes wide at the circle runs diagram, a chalk arc looping back on the boat's silhouette. The Mk-18 was stealth incarnate, O'Kane said, pointer tapping the board, but batteries betrayed her. Voltage sag torqued the gyro. Lesson: verify your fish or the sea verifies you. Questions flew. Escort, sir, how'd you evade? Cutter, on leave but visiting, fielded. Silent running at 200 feet. Hold breath, no pumps. Japs pinged blind. The midshipmen nodded, but O'Kane saw the ghosts in their stares. Wahoo's boys, Tang's 86, the fleet's 3,500 lost since 41. Leave came mid-January. O'Kane to California, Fanny waiting in Santa Barbara, her letters a lifeline through the patrols. The drive up the coast in a borrowed Ford was therapy. Palm trees swaying, ocean blue not black, radio crooning Sinatra. Fanny met him at the door, her embrace fierce, tears salting his collar. Dick, you're skin and bones. The papers called you a wolf. I call you home. Over dinners of fresh steak and pie, not spam, they talked shallow, gardens, her teaching at the high school. But nights brought the deep. O'Kane thrashing from dreams of the circle, the torpedo's ping closing like fate's footfall. Fanny held him. The war's ending. Let it go. He couldn't. Not with Ivo looming, Marines storming sulfur beaches under subs cover. February 19th. Iwo Jima's flag-raising splashed across papers, but O'Kane knew the understory. Subs like Batfish and Cavella seeding the waters, Mk-14's gutting supply runs. He wired the 9. Iwo taken. Tang's kills starved him. Rendezvous, Pearl, March. Replies trickled. Riley's, Ma says pray for Japs now, Brooklyn cold. Kowalski's, Philly yards building your boat. Balau Mk2. Harlan's, Iowa snow, stitching farmers not gashes. The survivors scattered but bound, their raft a forge that tempered steel souls. March brought Okinawa, kamikazes splintering Essex-class decks, but subs struck vengeful. Halibut's wolfpack under Hubbard potting a super Yamato wannabe, her 16-inchers silenced by fish. O'Kane consulted from Pearl, his map annotations guiding patrols. Formosa routes hit the tankers hard. Lockwood promoted him captain, stars on collar, desk or deep. O'Kane chose desk, training the next wolves. His book, Clear the Bridge, outlined in notebooks, chapters on the hunts. Periscope at dawn, silhouette sharp, range 2,000. Fire ripple, fish away, the sea's symphony. April's cherry blossoms mocked Tokyo's ruins. B-29's firebombing from Mariana's bases Tang had cleared. The 9's letters converged. Lynch from Annapolis, teaching plots, your circle's case study. Haynes from Georgia, farms green, miss the hum. Latham to Norfolk charts. O'Kane replied collective. War's tide turns, hold the line ashore.
May 8. V-Day's bells rang faint in Pearl. Europe free, but Pacific raging. O'Kane raised a glass in the O Club to absent friends. To Mush Morton, Wahoo's wolf. Lockwood joined, pipe puffing. Tang's the legend now. Medals for all hands, posthumous. The Navy crosses for the dead, forwarded to families. Jimmy Hale's ma in Kansas, a folded flag her solace. June's heat baked the pens. O'Kane's cane discarded, leg sound but scarred. Training intensified. Midshipmen diving mock below holes, learning the TDC's whir, the hydrophone's whisper. Silent running, engines off, hearts quiet, he drilled. A young ensign asked, "The circle, sir, how'd it feel?" O'Kane paused, eyes on the horizon. Like fate's torpedo, fast, final. But we fought. July 16, Trinity's flash in New Mexico sands, the atom's birth. O'Kane in a briefing. Physicists in whites. Fat man, little boy, ends the deep war. August 6th. Hiroshima's mushroom, the Enola's egg cracking empires. The 9 wired frenzy. Riley's Godspeed, Tang avenged. Kowalski's Philly toasts the flash. Nagasaki, August 9. Surrender whispers, August 14. September 2. Missouri's deck, MacArthur's pen scratching peace. O'Kane watched broadcast in Pearl, the 9's voices crackling over lines. It's over, depths release. Musters out, formal in October, Tang's bell tolled at the wall. O'Kane's final salute, fair winds. Post-war, Clear the Bridge, 49 bestseller, diagrams of hunts, the circle's warning. O'Kane to speeches, Medal of Honor 45 ceremony delayed till 46. Nimitz penning, for the crew that dove with you. Reunions etched decades. Riley's bar 50s. Kowalski's grill 60s. Harlan's clinic 70s. Fury's legacy, they'd toast, glasses like periscope lenses. O'Kane last, 90s fading, book signings in Annapolis. Tang taught me, sea gives, sea takes, but wolves endure. The Pacific rolled on, her hull rusting at 180 fathoms. Echoes in the tide. Depths of fury, eternal patrol. The years post-surrender blurred into a peacetime haze for the Tang's 9. The Pacific's roar fading to civilian hums, but the deep's call lingered like hull echo, subtle, insistent, a ping in the quiet. Commander Richard O'Kane, now Captain O'Kane in retirement's glow, settled in Santa Barbara by 1947. Fanny, his harbor. The book, Clear the Bridge, his anchor. A 300-page testament to the hunts, the circle's curse, the 86's sacrifice. Publishers clamored, it hit shelves 49, climbing bestsellers with diagrams of periscope sweeps and torpedo arcs. Midshipmen devouring it like rations. Not glory, O'Kane told interviewers, voice gravel from smokes. Survival, steel against sea, will against wave. The Medal of Honor, pinned 46 by Trumpin in D.C., hung in a shadow box beside Tang's commissioning photo. O'Kane young, crew grinning, the Belau's hull gleaming pre-dive. Seaman Tommy Riley traded salt for stage lights, Brooklyn's docks for Broadway's glare. Stagehand at the Winter Garden, rigging lights for Oklahoma. His Jaws scar a prop for war yarns at cast parties. Tang was my curtain call, he'd quip over beers, rosary beads jangling in his pocket. Ma's niches Sundays, but nights brought the raft, shark's fins circling spotlights. Married 51, kids by 55. Tommy Jr. joined the Navy 70s, surfacing from sub-school with a grin. Pa, read your book, Circle Run's legend. Riley clasped his shoulder. Dive true, son, no curves. Chief Hank Kowalski anchored in Philly shipyards, welding Belau refits into guppy conversions. Diesel boats streamlined for Cold War shadows. His tattoo a talisman against sparks. Tang taught me tubes, he'd growl to apprentices, hands scarred from gyros and floods. Union rep by 55, striking for safety. No more circle runs on my watch. Philly rowhouse, Polish pierogies Fridays, but reunions pulled him west. 55 in Pearl, the 9 around a luau pit. Toasts to the lost. Kowalski raised his. 86, fish away eternal. Heart attack 78, but his obit read, Torpedoman of legends, sank the Empire's dreams. Doc Harlan hung his stethoscope in Des Moines 47, stitching farmers' gashes and kids' tonsils. The morphine syrettes swapped for penicillin shots. Deep wounds heal slow, he'd tell patients, eyes distant on Iowa fields like patrol horizons. Clinic boomed 50s,
Polio vaccines his new fish. Married the nurse from triage. 3 daughters. Reunions his salt. 60s in San Diego. Harlan doping old pains with quinine tails. Raft fever, worse than any depth charge. Past 92, scalpel in hand, legacy in lives mended. Tex Ramirez chased oil rigs off Texas 46, harmonica in pocket, diesel's hum an echo of Tang's engines. Sea to sand, he'd drawl over tacos, the circle run a campfire ghost. Laredo foreman by 55, striking for wages like Kowalski. Married Rosa 48, 6 kids, grandkids calling him sub-grandpa. Reunions his stage, 70s in Hawaii, Tex wailing deep in the heart on the wall, O'Kane clapping, to the wolfpack. Cancer 85, but his last breath, fish away boys, home run. Ensign Frank Lynch lectured at Annapolis 47, plots and bearings his blackboard gospel, the circle a case study in hubris. Verify vectors, or the deep verifies you, he'd chalk, midshipman nodding. Married 50, professor by 60, books on subtactics 70s. Reunions his compass, 80s in D.C., Lynch mapping old charts. Tang pointed north, always. Stroke 99, legacy in admirals trained. Billy Haynes farmed Georgia red clay 46, plowshares for propellers, the raft's thirst a drought memory. Sea gave me grit, he'd tell harvest hands, kids riding tractors like conning towers. Church deacon 55, sermons on survival. Reunions rare but true, 65 in Norfolk, Haynes toasting 86 plow the deep. Hart 82, soil in his nails. Roy Latham charted merchant runs Norfolk 47, compass his talisman, Tang's ghosts in the Gulf Stream. Currents circle too, he'd mutter over coffee. Married late, floating navigator for Maersk 60s. Reunions his North Star, 75 in Pearl, Latham's map unrolled. Raft taught me, drift smart. Liver 88, charts folded beside. O'Kane outlasted, 90s in Santa Barbara. Fanny gone 85, book signings his patrols. Wahoo follow-up 61, speeches to Lions clubs. Deep's fury, our legacy. Reunions dwindled. Riley 03, last toast, eternal dive skipper. O'Kane 92, medal on chest, eyes on sea, Tang waits, fair winds.
21st century. Tang's wreck found O2, 180 fathoms off Formosa. ROVs tracing her bones. Prop shattered, tubes empty. The Nine's tales in museums, books reprinted, films pitched. Descendants dive. Tommy Jr.'s Subcommand 05. Kowalski's grandkid welding Virginia class. Legacy dives eternal. Depths of fury, the wolf's howl in the tide.